All right, welcome back. So when I started working on all the things that kind of turned my trading around, I had the opportunity. I had a group of friends that we kind of traded together, and we were all very miserable traders together. Didn't really get much traction. We met in a bunch of different trade rooms, and we decided none of that was working for us. So we kind of just decided, you know what? Why pay all this money? Let's just meet together every morning and we'll just kind of create this little Skype group, and we'll just share our screens with each other and share what we're doing and talk about what we're doing, and maybe we can all come up with a solution rather than trying to go from trade room to trade room to trade room trying to figure out something. Um, and so we formed this little group. It was probably about 7 or 8 of us, and we met every day together on Skype. And we shared uh, basically what we were doing. We'd call out our trades, and eventually my trades started gaining some traction. And this was as I was working on not just my trading, but on the whole, you know, mentality I was bringing to trading. And so because I started gaining some traction, the guys started noticing what that the trades I was calling out were working out, and so they wanted to know, well, what are you doing different, and what can we do? And so at first I started trying to teach them, and that started to get kind of cumbersome. Um, and so then I decided to actually create a training program called the Trader RX, and it was a program where I could have a more formal way of teaching them that didn't involve me doing it during the trading day because I needed to be trading, not teaching. So anyway, I started thinking about this program I wanted to build for. Mostly it was for them. It ultimately became for our traders. And then so I built this program, and I noticed that a lot of the characteristics that I developed or realized were necessary all started with the letter C, and so that became part of my uh, of this Trader RX mentoring program, and so I just started calling it my golden C's. So we're going to cover some of those in the next few weeks, and we're going to. So what are the golden C's that we're going to cover? We're gonna talk about clearing the clutter. We're going to start with that one today. We're going to talk about consistency. We're going to talk about conditioning, confidence, capital preservation, and challenging conventional wisdom. Okay, so we're going to start with clutter. Clutter is a confused or a disordered state. Okay, so generally when we think of clutter, we just think of a lot of stuff around, right? But it doesn't have to be physical. Okay, it can actually take over your life. Clutter can. So if you think about it, what part of your daily life that affects your trading could you maybe consider to be clutter? So let's look at that. Say maybe up to now your trading charts have a whole bunch of indicators on them, right? And you have a bunch of indicators on them because you've been looking for that one indicator that's going to get you over the hump. And every time you try an indicator, you see some value in it. not really sure how that value is going to play into the final piece of the puzzle. But it has some value. So you want to keep it there. So you put it on your chart. And then you do it again and again. I got to a point where I had so much stuff on my charts because I heard the stuff was important. I heard the stuff had good information on it or about it. And so then I started thinking, well, I've got to have all this stuff, but now I can hardly read the chart. So now I need more monitors so I can put up more charts and more indicators. And I got to the point where I had, yes, believe it or not, 12 monitors. And to everybody that was, not involved in trading that came into my office and saw this, they were impressed. And I thought, yeah, this is pretty dang impressive. Because when I looked at each thing, I looked at each monitor, I looked at each chart, or I looked at each other open window, whatever it was, I knew what that meant. The thing is after having gone through all of this, I had a day of introspection where I said, I'm no better today with all this information than I was the very first day when I was trying it from a computer with a single monitor. I'm no better trader. So it was somewhat of an epiphany that I was being weighed down with this clutter of stuff. So there's an idea of clutter, um, physical clutter. If you're working in an area that has lots of stuff around you, lots of piles of things, lots of, that maybe your trading takes place at the same place where you pay all your bills and you have all this stuff just piled up around you, that tends to pull your attention or draw your attention away from what you need to be doing. Maybe you do pay your bills or do other stuff when you're trading. This can all be considered clutter. All of the, I get the opportunity to log on to a lot of people's computers because I help them with remote support. And boy, do I see some of you with a lot of clutter. And the way you keep your computers and the way you use your desktops on your computers, there is an awful lot of clutter. And again, it's just some of those things that tend to draw your attention away from what you should be doing. Um, your mind can get cluttered. You can have a lot of stuff going on in your life. Okay. You can have too many other, and even if they're directly related to trading, you fill your mind with things like what would happen if, or should I do this because this guy says this, but this other system says this, and what if I combine the two? Um, or what if, oh, if I don't enter this trade now, I'm going to miss it, and I'll never have another opportunity. Um, so this is all clutter, right? You can actually feel it in your head, and if you think real hard about it, it can actually feel like a lot of clutter. So if we remove some of this conflicting information that you have going on in your mind, you're going to maybe remove that mind clutter. We're always told that, information is a good thing. You just can't have too much information. And I came into trading with that, and I just kept thinking that collecting more and more and more information was what I needed, because somewhere in that is going to be the answer. But I learned that more information beyond what you need is clutter. All right, so try to remember when something pops into your head and it's not directly related to what you're currently focused on. Okay, try to remember that. That's clutter. Let's move away from the clutter. Let's get back to what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, your attention can get easily drawn away by news, family, um, other responsibilities you have, work, paying the bills, YouTube. Um, trading is really boring, and allowing your attentions to become cluttered is not only easy, but it's something that we're all inclined to do. Um, your intentions can certainly become cluttered. Forgetting what it is that you're trying to accomplish. What are you trying to do? You know, you need to keep your intentions free of clutter. You need to set them and stick to them and think about them and, you know, tune them as necessary away from trading, not during trading. That's if you're thinking about that during trading or not thinking about it at all and doing other things, it's just all clutter. All right. Your time can certainly get cluttered. I specifically remember the fantasy I had that I would be able to trade and run my construction business at the same time, or at least in the morning. And I tried it for 7 years. And I thought that I could do that. But it was just more clutter, right? So you try to do your job and trade at the same time, you know, and and but your time can get really cluttered, and it's not unimportant stuff. There's always all, and this is what I was big at. So when I'm trading, I'll just handle all these small things while I'm trading, all these small fires, and I'll worry about the big stuff later. You know, what our life is mostly filled up with the small things that have to get done. The big things always get pushed off because they're going to require a lot more thought, a lot more, quiet time. Um, so they tend to get pushed off a lot. So we're constantly putting out the small fires, and that can certainly clutter our time. We know about our emotions getting cluttered. You know, all of the emotions of excitement and fear and thrill and greed and anger and boredom and all the things that come with trading. And this is all just clutter. It tends to interfere with the job that you're there to do. Okay, so these are the just a few of the things that I've found that can cause clutter in your trading. You should be able to find a lot more. Just think about your life. Um, think about the things in trading that are causing you stress. And you can probably figure out a way to remove that, which also helps you become uncluttered, right? So stress creates clutter, clutter creates stress. So make a list and ask yourself, is this clutter? Do I really need this? Are these interruptions really so important? So we want to look at this and we want to make sure that all this clutter doesn't cause us to lose focus and doesn't cause us to lose our intention. Okay? Clutter is something that's going to dramatically hold you back in taking those first steps, on the road to where you want to be with your trading. All right? So next week we're going to move right on to the next golden sea. Any questions about clutter? I hope that you can look around you and see there is clutter that's causing you distractions, and you need to clear that clutter as much as possible. All right. Everybody have a great rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow.